Elon Musk is saying it like that, yeah, let's get to Mars and then let's democratize and make laws simple. But you're forgetting, you're not starting with a blank human race. You're starting with millions of years of indoctrination already stereotypes, already ways of thinking and doing things, and idiosyncrasies, traditions and cultures. They're all going to arrive on Mars with your crew, right? So your crew, they might, although they're going to be like, hey, let's actually make Mars a utopia and try, right? The first generation of people might actually succeed in making it a utopia. But generations down the line, Travis Mate Podcast or Travis Mate Podcast, the best kept secret. Why is it the best kept secret? Because it's a reality show, like a hidden camera show, like, you know, them creeps like that, like a Truman Show. The only difference is the Truman Show is happening while Truman is making a show in the Truman Show, and that is this show, right? So if you like real people and real content, stuff like this, like, subscribe and share, right? It helps channels like mine permeate the YouTube algorithm. And not only do you help channels like mine, you keep freedom of speech free, right? Unscripted, real-time content, not paid for opinions, right? And that's what we do over here. So without further ado, let's get into it.
You once said on Mars, if there's human life, there should be direct democracy.
What?
Yes, I think
I don't know if that correlates.
Direct democracy is less susceptible to corruption than representative democracy. I mean, the other recommendations that I'd say, like, any laws need to be short enough that everyone can read them as well. and there should be it should be easier to get rid of a law than make one.
Do you see any positive effects in the COVID pandemic?
I think there are many silver linings. The advancement of synthetic RNA was accelerated significantly because of COVID.
And it's going to help with cancer, allergies, bacteria, diseases. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, synthetic RNA is revolutionary medicine that most people are not aware of just how much of a revolution that is. I would say this is like medicine going from analog to digital.
You once said on Mars.
Alright, so there's a lot going on there, and I'm not going to pretend that I actually do understand what RNA is, because I don't, right? I think it's something to do with DNA, but I don't actually know, right? I'd have to Google it, like you probably have to Google it, right? So let's not start with that. Let's start with good old red planet Mars, right? I know that was extra, right? I don't know what I wanted it. Maybe it's the coffee. Anyway, so what was Elon Musk saying there? He's saying basically, if we do go to Mars, it should be a direct democracy, not a representative democracy. So in my opinion, again, I don't actually know, but I assume when he says direct democracy, he means actually the people making decisions amongst themselves together, and not representatives making decisions for the people like how we have it currently now, right? I assume that's what he means, but I don't know, right? I don't know. It sounds like a good idea, but really, once we arrive at Mars or on Mars, it's not going to be like how we built civilization here, right? Because we built civilization here through learning, trying things, failing, yeah? Mostly through war, conquering, right? That's how we built civilization here as we know it. So on Mars, it's going to be a little bit different, because everyone that arrives at Mars is either going to arrive from the same, in the same company or the same group of people, right? It's the same settlers, the same. Let's just say one company is able to do this travel, right, to make this terraforming and colonization of Mars, right? Let's just say one company, and we'll assume it's Elon Musk, right? Everyone that goes there from Earth to Mars is going to be going in the same company. Now, understandably, at some point in the far, far future after colonization, factions might break off, right, and decide, hey, we want to do things like this and you want to do things like that, and we can't get along, so we're going to go over there, right? But that is going to be very hard to do, right, under the fact that they all came here with the same company, with the access to the same tools and technology, limited resources, right? So it's not like you can just get to Mars and decide, actually, we're just going to build a city over there. Like, with what? With how, right? It has to be generations and generations later, right? So I understand what he says. Ideally, it sounds like a good idea, but realistically, it's not going to be like that, right? It's going to be a kind of dictatorship, and you're already going to have laws governing but basically going to leave Earth with laws and governing bodies, right? Because you have to. Them same laws, or not even laws, like from a corporate point of view, right? There's going to be certain litigation in play where you can't do this on the ship, you can't do that on the ship, and once you arrive on Mars, you can't do this, you can't do that, right? All of those things are going to come with us from Earth, right? Because we built our civilization. Right, well, let me take a step back, right? We built the foundation of civilization first off of hunting, eating, farming, right? And then we went past farming into war and conquering, right? And then we conquer other lands that are already farming, and we have enslavement, and we have trade, right? And we go up and up. So we just go from, let's just say, the base foundation of all of it is warriors, right? Or pirates, however you want to call it, right? Cavemen, pirates, warriors, soldiers, right? Literally going to war not only other men and human beings, but with animals, big, wild, dangerous animals, and with Mother Nature itself, right? Cutting paths through jungles, making roads, you know what I'm saying? Farming, right? That is essentially war too, right? So let's just say that's the base foundation of society. Then the secondary layer is once the wars have all settled down, right, and we've got our little settlements, and we've got our food under control, and we've got the wild animals under control, now we can start to, I was about to say litigate, but we can start to philosophize. We've got space to think now as humankind, right? We can think about how we want our village to run, how our town to run, our society, how we interact with each other. We make bad laws, we change them, right? We make bad rules, we change them. And we went through all of that process for a long time, right? And then that process gives us politicians and laws and prisons and healthcare systems, and all of these things come after the foundation of warriors. I mean, they existed in fraction, but they weren't unified, right, to work together for a greater good. There was this group over here has its one medicine man, it has its 3 or 4 soldiers, it has its hunter, but then if 7 or 8 of those groups, right, of individuals come together, then you get like a unified, unionized health and hunting group, soldiers, a war group, you know what I'm saying? So just thinking about it like that, building up from that platform all the way to where we are now, right, we wouldn't be able to just leave, we wouldn't just pretend that we could start again, right, because we can't. We're pre-susceptible to everything we've done already on Earth, right, and how we built up humanity to the point where we can have technology and how we use technology, ethical practices and laws, right? So what Elon Musk is saying is, it sounds cool, but it's not realistic, because once you arrive on Mars, or before you even leave Earth, there's going to be laws and agreements already, right? And then when you get to Mars, you're going to have someone to police and enforce these laws, right? Because what happens if the first generation of people that get to Mars do a great job, right? They colonize, they terraform, if that's the right word, and they begin the structures, right, of a utopia. But then the second generation of their kids, right, or the second generation of people arrive, decide, actually, we're going to do what we're doing on Earth, right, and we're just going to fuck shit up. We're going to basically take whatever we want, right? Remember, they're going to be taken from themselves, because you're not going to get to Mars unless, of course, this is all hypothetical, right? But just from a civilization building point of view, you're not going to get to Mars and have to go to war and start again like we did on Earth, right? You're not going to get to Mars and meet other human beings and have to battle them. We might get there and meet aliens, we might get there and meet animals that we have to defend ourselves from, terrain issues and farming and all of that, right? But once we get all of that under control, right, like we did in the past here on Earth, right, then we start to get into more of the intellectual society building. Although whoever's going to get to go to Mars has to be a certain level of intelligence already, right, because it wouldn't function. At the same time, when they get to Mars, we're going to still need our caste system in terms of unskilled labor, right, to do the things that are done on Earth, right? Because you're not going to get to Mars and just have, like, remember like in Spy Kids when they had all this imaginary food and they just put it in the microwave and then bam, there's McDonald's, there's da-da-da. They might, but they probably won't, right? There's going to be chefs still, there's going to be cleaners still, there has to be, right? All of these things have to exist, and there's going to be transport, of course, right? So, yeah. Now, for Elon Musk to have that idea, he's looking at it from a completely idealistic idea, right? Where he's saying the laws would have to be simple enough that anybody could read them and understand them. Now, I get it, but I can't put words in his mouth. I don't really know what he's thinking and how in depth he's thought this through, right? And it doesn't really matter. But from my perspective, he's saying that from remember in iRobot when they made all of the robots and the creator was like, here's these 3 laws, right? We don't break these 3 laws and everything is fine, right? But the creator himself breaks the 3 laws by creating that bad robot, or Sonny, right? If that's his name. Elon Musk is saying it like that, yeah, let's get to Mars and then let's democratize and make laws simple. But you're forgetting, you're not starting with a blank human race. You're starting with millions of years of indoctrination already stereotypes, already ways of thinking and doing things, and idiosyncrasies, traditions and cultures. They're all going to arrive on Mars with your crew, right? So your crew, they might, although they're going to be like, hey, let's actually make Mars a utopia and try, right? The first generation of people might actually succeed in making it a utopia. But generations down the line, because of humanity and the way we are as individual thinkers and wrongdoers and right doers, Mars will degenerate too, right? The societal structure of Mars will erode just like here, right? Through politics, through philosophy, through ethics, through food, through everything, right? Through policing, all of it will potentially spiral just as bad as Earth, right? And the problem with that is it just might spiral way faster in 2 or 3 generations, and then the people on Earth are going to be like, this is kind of a bad experiment, right? Why bother sending more people up there to clean up all of this mess again, right? Do you know what I mean? We have to put all of these resources together again on Earth, send them up there, and like in the films, like I can't remember what film it was, right, where they were on Mars and they had their colonization, but obviously they included aliens in this. But just like with zombie films, it's never the zombies, it's never the aliens, it's the reality of human nature and how we react and interact with problems and situations. So in them films, right, they had a colonization there, right, a colony there, and it was kind of empty, it was just barren, right? And when the second people arrived, they're like, where is everybody? Where's all the humans, right? And they've got a faction way over there and on land, like say about 2-3 miles away, and they decided to do their own thing on Mars, and they've got a little society, and then they've got a society here, right? But they're all broken down, just like how here on Earth, I know this is all theoretical, right? It doesn't really exist, but just think about what I'm saying, right? Just like here on Earth, as archaeologists and historians, we discover lost civilizations, broken down civilizations. The same kind of thing could potentially happen on Mars, right? And then people that are existing on Earth with the knowledge will be like, actually, we've lost communication with the people on Mars. They had some political uprising, and people were killed, and they just messed everything up there, right? It's a mess up there. Why should we send anybody else up there to do it all over again? But possibly another company will be like, actually, we'll take the burden of going up to Mars again and fixing everything and starting again. But that is in my perspective, just from a troubleshooter's point of view, it is very likely to happen like that. Now, like I said, the first generation of people that arrive from the company will potentially be under a dictatorship of the company's laws, right, and the company's structure. Because it's not going to be, how is a company, right, going to put together a team and a crew of people that go to Mars and not only build everything physically, terraform the planet, instill a government, instill policing, instill healthcare, instill food and farming, right? That crew is going to have to be thousands of people, right? And how do you train thousands of people to go to a planet for the first time and expect them to do everything right, and make it a utopia? It's impossible, right? So of course, chances are no one's really discussing this, but hey, I'm just reacting to something that Elon Musk said. Now, in the idealistic world, yes, it sounds beautiful. It sounds like Mars is going to be everything that the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Greeks wanted for society, right? And it's going to be lovely with the highest technology, but it's not. There's going to be there's a song called Book of Rules, right? It's a reggae song, right? And there's a bit in it, it says, And just like normal people like you and me, we'll be builders for eternity, right? That is what is going to have to happen on Mars as well, right? So you've got to understand that. There's, like, infrastructure and all of these things took thousands of years to think about, construct, and it's still wrong to an extent now, right? We still have problems with our infrastructure right now on Earth. So what's going to happen? Are you going to go to Mars and think you can create Mars as a socialist, or like under a Maoist kind of idea, or is it going to become a Lenin kind of thing, or Hitler kind of thing, or you know, like a Emancipation Proclamation kind of thing? What the hell is going to happen up there? You don't know politically, right? But in all reality, that's not Elon Musk's job to worry about. His job to worry about is creating technology, right, to get us there. That's his job. But he, as a company CEO, although he'll probably not be around when they actually get there, he needs to instill that foundation in X right now, to know that actually, although we're the people that's going to make the technology, if we don't have an educated crew and of philosophers, scientists, healthcare professionals, doctors, builders, architects, all of these other people outside of the company, the corporation that is X, when we get to Mars, what the hell are we going to do, right? What are we going to do? What happens if we run out of food? What happens if, you know, all kinds of things. They have to actually think about logically, right, and see a bit further than the idea of finding a power source that is good enough to get us there, and making the ship big enough with all the things we would ever need, right? They have to think past that, because something has to govern humanity when they get there, right? And if humans are left to their own devices, right? I mean, just normal humans, right? Not politicians, not social scientists, not philosophers, not lawmakers, just normal everyday humans, right? If we're left to our own devices, and I know it sounds bad, but if the thinkers don't do the thinking, right, problems run awry, right? And you'll get all kinds of bad shit happening on Mars. It'll just be, after the basic infrastructure is built, it would just become a free-for-all, a bloody land of savages doing whatever the hell they want. And the people, and it will actually be like those films when you see like the secondary crew or the third generation of crew arriving from Earth, and then you've just got mad savages moving greasy on Mars, right? Just taking whatever they want, raping women, stealing food, breaking down the whole structure of things, right? Just degrading, even though they got there as intelligent scientists, right? The lack of resources, the lack of governance, all of those things will degrade humankind back down to their base, which is survival survival first, right? And then everything else comes after that. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, who is really thinking about this? Who is really talking about this? It's cool, but I say we run an experiment first on the moon, right? With a government and its own structures, right? Because we need that. We need that little. Although we can use Earth as an example, right? You wouldn't want to travel all that way to Mars already, and then fuck up after you get the technology right, just by the governance and the politics, right? You wouldn't want to do all of that. It would be a waste. Like, it would be thousands of years of discoveries and technology just to send people to Mars for them to F up and then just end up a lost civilization like we've already got on Earth. That would be silly, right? So that some serious thought needs to go into that. What are we going to do about our politics system, right? What are we going to do for our healthcare and our food and our buildings, right? It has to go. It has to be broader than the corporation that is X, that exists in a technological capacity, right? It has to go beyond that, right, into a more civilization building thing, right? And with any civilization building, it all comes down to power, right? Ammunition, war, arms, who can take what from who and who can protect what they build, right? That's what it means, right? And then after you get over that barbarian era, right? Because of course everyone's gonna, your scientists and all of that are gonna have to be militarily trained as well. When they arrive there, they're gonna need to know how to use weaponry, even if it's to like I said, if someone goes AWOL or crazy or starts to do unlawful experiments and stuff on Mars, there has to be people to govern and police it. Because even if they're not like, just for instance, right, onto a science fiction side of it, our scientists and our technicians and our builders and all of that all have to have some kind of military training, because they can't just depend on a small group of force that we can spare from Earth, right? And they also need to be able to keep that small group of force that we can spare from Earth from becoming tyrannous, right? And saying, hey, we're the army on Mars, we got the guns, so you scientists do what we say. If we want more food, we're taking it because we got the weapons, right? There's that aspect. Like I said, humans are fucking crazy, right? So from a science fiction perspective, all of the people that go there on the first iteration or the second iteration need to be health trained, right, medication trained, and physically able to do violence in case they actually do encounter aliens or some kind of animals, right? I know we're thinking about aliens like them being us and then animals like being our animals, but you might see them aliens as animals, right? So they will have to have a capacity for defense, right? And they can't, like I said, because society is the way it is, if you send only a small group of armed people, right, and no one governing them, or only one person, 2-3 people governing them, once they realize when they get to Mars and it becomes a survival of the fittest, they're going to be like, yeah, it's survival of the fittest now. We got the guns, we got the power, we got the lasers, we got the tasers and the flamethrowers. Scientists, I don't care what Elon Musk told you to do when you get here, you're doing what I tell you to do, right? Because me and you are never fucking getting back to Earth, right? So that's what it will degrade into. So serious thought needs to go into it, right? And all kinds of sociopaths and psychopaths will pass them tests to get into that iteration of going to Mars in the first place. They will, they always bloody do, right? There's a question of this happening on the International Space Station as it is now, right? What is going to happen if it gets political up there, right? There's a lot of litigation and things that happen outside of the general public's view of, oh wow, we're in space, oh wow, we got spaceships, that's cool, isn't it? But there's a lot of thought that has to go into it, isn't it? So there's that. Now to the second half of what they were saying about the effects of COVID, right? Now just imagine that. What would that look like? Because there's a good chance that when they arrive on Mars, they're going to contract diseases and have to acclimatize themselves to whatever bacteria is on Mars, right? It has to happen. So real thought needs to go into that too. Once they arrive there, well, I say they send way more highly advanced probes to Mars first, right? And like I said, I recommend we do an experiment run first on the moon and see what happens there, right? How we can control the environment and politics and all of that there as a test run. But yeah, but shit, man. Even if they do find water, like anyway, this is 2023, right? If this ever does happen, it's going to be at least 2,000 or 3,000 years away from now, right? Just realistically, we might create the technology to go there, but like I said, all of the things that need to happen when we get there take real strategic building, right? And we're going to be talking about ships that look like the size of towns and cities. It will have to be, right? And there's so many things that can go wrong with that. It's just crazy, right? And like I said, the first couple generations of the people on Mars might just end up a lost civilization. Just like it's a possibility, like we said in was it science fiction or fourth dimension, there might be we on Earth might be so far in our own future and forgetting our own history of everything we've done already, right? And with our lost civilizations, they may have already tried, or we may even be aliens from another planet and we've just forgotten, right? And that's how crazy it could actually be once you go down that rabbit hole of history and theories or things that spring off, right? And I'm no conspiracy theorist, I'm just giving you a real perspective. Like I had a conversation with a man yesterday and he was telling me the origins of the Tamil people and how their language was one of the first, and there's a continent on Earth that was lost, and all of the things that he was telling me, some of it's verifiable, some of it I haven't really checked out myself yet, right? Some I actually checked. But just from that perspective, if there's that much lost history already on Earth, how much lost history is still unrevealed to us on our own planet, right? So yeah, we may be aliens, right? We may be a civilization from another place that just fucked up on the first and second tries of doing things, right? And we ended up cavemen because people forgot, or only the dumb people survived and all the smart people died in some experiments. I mean, fuck no, it's science fiction, right? But yeah, I really rate Elon Musk, right? And I rate people that think like him, but I also want to just put it out there. Thank you, and we appreciate all of the scientists and the thinkers and the technicians behind the people like Elon Musk that are actually doing the experiments, the inventors, and thinking about these things and creating these things that make us as a human race that much more powerful, that much more successful in surviving, right? They're the real guys, right? And I said it before, right? The scientists, the inventors, the mathematicians, the thinkers, right? The social scientists and politics, right? And the farming industry, all of these people, right? All of these infrastructures have humanity on their back, right? They are carrying the planet right now, right? And me and you, we're just small pawns in this, and I'm doing my part right now as I speak to you, as I do transport part of the lifeblood of our whole entire economy, right? I'm doing my small part, but it goes up and up and up and up, right? And it goes lower and lower and lower than me, right? So you've got to thank all of these people and appreciate how far we've come as humanity, and just the greatness that we could potentially achieve in the future. Elon Musk speaking on these things, right? And Jeff Bezos trying to compete, and Richard Branson's and the government and NASA, all of these people are giving us that hope for the future, right? You know, like in the old war times, you know, like, so as a side note, right, when America decided to go to space, they didn't do it because they thought, oh, this is going to be incredible, right? I think it was JF Kennedy or one of the guys before him, right, decided, because Russia's trying to go as well, right, we can better galvanize our people under a political banner, under a unified goal, right, that we're going to compete in this space race, right, and it's going to bring our country together. And it did, right, and it brought the world together a bit closer, because it's like, hey, and there's conspiracy theorists on the other side of what I'm about to say, but hey, look, we're all united now. Look at how Earth looks from space. There's no divide amongst us, right? We're all the same, and we need to now think about, as humanity, what it's going to look like in 100, 300, 1,000 years if we don't get our shit together and come together and unify to conquer space, or whatever threat comes from space to conquer us, right? And that's where your conspiracy theorists branch off and say, hey, if they say that there's a one world government, right, they can bring in a one world government because there's a threat from aliens now, right? And then you see all the potential tyranny and things that can happen from that, right? There's only one government, right? There's only one police of the world, right? There's that. Hey, that's problematic, but it's also very good if it really does achieve that same kind of ethos that JFK had of going to space, right? We're unified, we're putting our resources together to get to the moon, right? Now, there's a good side of it and a bad side of it. But like I said, Elon Musk will be dealing with that same potential problem, right? Once you get to Mars, how can you have a democracy when you have one world government? There's no other party, even representative or directive, right? Everybody that arrives at Mars is going to be going as the there's not going to be a competing Russia, although there will be people from different countries in that X corporation arriving on Mars. There's not going to be a Russia space race, a Russia-American space race once you arrive on Mars, right? Like I said, in about 7 or 8 generations, factions and countries will split off, right? But initially, there will not be any democracy, right? Because it will just be, hey, we are one, right? We're one country, we're one nation, we're one corporation under this banner. So there can't be democracy. But because how it happened on Earth, what he's saying about the law making on Mars, hey, politicians have thought about making their country like that, and once they got in power, they realized, actually, we can't really, all of these idealistic ideas we had when we was campaigning, they're unrealistic. Now that we've got behind the wizard curtain and the Secret Service tap us on the shoulder and bring us to the basement and show us, oh my god, all of these things are really happening, hey, the Democrats, we can't do much, bro. Or Republicans, we can't actually do much, right? The shadow government, we can't actually do much, right? Because all of this is actually taking place already, right? So when Elon Musk gets there, if he ever gets there in his lifetime, good luck to him, right? But yeah, there will never be true democracy once you arrive on Mars, right? 30, 40 generations down the line, they might come up with a democracy, but they also might go to war with each other, right? They also might nuke Mars and destroy it, right? So yeah, humans are humans, right? It's very exciting to think about this. Like, I would love for someone in the comments to be, maybe one day, one of you guys that know more about this, we can have a conversation live on the podcast or a Zoom or something. You can educate me. But hey, I'm, as you can see, there's like, you see me go off on these sparkled-eyed tangents when I talk about music and science fiction, right? For some reason, I don't know why. There's other things too, but you haven't seen those episodes yet. But hey, for if some reason that an intelligent scientist just wants to be kept company in their mind and entertained and have a laugh, right, and they watch this show, it would be great for if you could come up, right? I'm no Huberman, right? I'm no Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? I'm just a normal guy. If you could come and educate us that watch this show and participate in the show on these topics, it would be excellent, right? And we can have a dialogue and we could give you all our creative ideas and all of our conspiracy theories as just geezers in vans and what we think society is, and you could actually correct us and say, actually, that's a good idea, we might introduce that over here, right? Repurpose these ideas and creative thoughts. But that's me dreaming, right? You never know where things might go in the future, right? But hey, let me know what you think, right? Do you think it will be possible for democracy to exist on Mars? And like I say, will it be generations in the future where democracy will be able to exist? Like politically, right? And what do you think about that? Is Elon Musk right, or is he too idealistic? Is he a bit of a dreamer, right? Of course he has to be a bit unreal to even achieve anything outside of the normal person's thought, right? Because you have to be those game changers to do things, right? So yeah, maybe he's been a bit too idealistic, or maybe he's not. Maybe he's absolutely on the money, right? It should be democracy. The laws should be easy and understandable to everybody. Maybe that is what it should be. But you tell me what you think, right? But at CNC CMI is the main channel, right? I don't talk about random topics like this there, right? I talk about things I actually know, and I show you things I actually know, right? But over here, we never know what's going to happen in this show. That's why it's real. So yeah, don't forget to check out the other episodes in the podcast playlist. If this is your first time and you actually made it to the end, thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope you liked it, right? But like I always say, this isn't the best episode, and every episode is different, right? So try not to judge the whole podcast based on this episode. But if you do want to judge it based on this episode, I hope you had a good experience. I hope you enjoyed it, right? But like I said, check out season 2, check out season 1 if you just want to hear me soliloquize or soliloquy about things that I think about that can help you, or season 2 where I'm getting into my entertainment bag. Now season 3 that we're in currently, this is a bit more nuanced, right? A bit more entertaining and educational. But check them out on YouTube, right? And remember, YouTube is on its own schedule, so I'm probably about 2-3 years ahead of the YouTube schedule that you're watching now when you see this. But if you want to see the episodes in real time, the seasons in real time, or if you want to binge watch, you can go over to Patreon and get the seasons in real time, the episodes in real time when I make them, like probably the day after or the week after I've made them. You can watch them live. Maybe I'll do a live episode. But you can watch them in real time on Patreon if you're that way inclined. It's probably like $3 or something if you're American. It's probably £1 or £2 something, or euros if you're over here, right? It's nothing big, right? And that's just because that's the way Patreon works. I might make some content free over there just so you can have it, but the idea of Patreon is that, right? Now, I don't ask for donations or nothing like that over here on this channel, because why the hell should I, right? I'm just providing you with my ideas and my entertainment and my thoughts, right? You spending time here for me is enough, right? I don't care about the money. I'm working, as you can see. So yeah, if I've given you any value, if I entertained you, if I've informed you on anything, if I've made you actually think about what it means to build a civilization on Mars, if you want to help the channel, if you want to help me, Patreon is how you can do that, right? And not only helping me, helping yourself. you can entertain yourself, and you can also ask me to make videos or interact with you on a specific topic, right? Or react to something, give you my opinion. And if for some reason you think I have advice to offer, I'll give you my advice, right? But I'm not a professional outside of what I do in the real world, right? So just keep that in mind. I'm just a guy on the internet, and I'm no different than you. I'm a real person, a real working, grafting, lower poor, working middle class man, however you want to put it, right? I'm no saint, I'm no upper class man, I'm no rich man, so I'm just normal like you, right? So just take that however you want to take that. Expect me to F up, expect me to say things that are inaccurate. I watch this back sometimes and be like, bro, they didn't say that, bro, you're wrong, right? Me 5 minutes from now is probably looking at me 5 minutes ago and saying, bro, why did you do that? Why did you say that, right? I'm a normal person. So that is the point of this show. It's a reality show, right? So you can find me on all social medias if you care, if you're that way inclined to do social, because I find it hard myself sometimes to find the time to open social media, but I'm still over there, right? There's still content over there, and you can still reach me. So yeah, is there anything else I've forgotten? Let me know in the comments, right? Someone's gonna be like, you didn't say this, you always say this, right? Every day is different for me, right? You never know. But yeah, I think this was a pretty good podcast. If I do say so myself, maybe I wasn't as jovial as I usually am, or joking and stuff like that, but hey, there's a time for everything, right? So, Drivers Mate Podcast, or Drivers Mate Podcast, have a nice day. I appreciate you hanging out with me and spending time with me, and I hope you have a nice day. Seriously, like, have a good day, right? Smile. It releases endorphins even if you don't feel like smiling, right? And think about what it means to travel to Mars in the future, and what we could potentially do as a society. If Elon Musk is giving you this inspiration, take it, let it light your fire, start your business, work your hand at whatever it is you're doing, your creative opportunities, and remember, there are no limits except the limits you place upon yourself, right? So have a nice day. See you later.